In December 1900, 3 lighthouse keepers, Thomas Marshall, Donald McArthur, and James Ducat, disappeared under mysterious circumstances from their post off the coast of Scotland. In 2022, I obtained the part of one of the 3 men, James Ducat, in an experimental play about the incident. I am a professional actor. All right, I'm an actor. Acting is a precarious way to make a living, even in the best of times. But during a global pandemic, I graduated from theater school in 2019, and since then, I'd spent my time collecting unemployment benefits, watching Shakespeare on YouTube, and wondering if I was ever going to set foot on stage again. And so I was surprised, and for once, it was a pleasant surprise, when I got a text message from Vincent. Vincent, a former classmate, but a guy I barely knew, telling me of an experimental production looking for 3 male actors. I called the number he gave me and spoke to someone called Aikman, who identified himself as the producer and the director and the writer of the piece. I was only on the phone with him for a few minutes when, sight unseen, he offered me a part, the role of Ducat. Naturally, I accepted. It was a job. The first rehearsal would take place at a small performance space in the warehouse district, 7 p.m. sharp Wednesday night. I would get my script then and meet the rest of the cast. Naturally, I said I'd be there. But over the next few days, I began to have doubts. It had been too easy. It seemed too good to be true. I knew nothing about Aikman, and neither did Vincent when I spoke to him about it. Still, I wouldn't lose anything checking it out. But Wednesday, I don't know, it still felt off. I felt off too. I was tired, so in the afternoon I thought I'd lie down and grab a quick nap. I set the alarm on my phone for 4:30. That would give me plenty of time to get cleaned up and over to the rehearsal space. Or so I thought. I woke up in darkness. I grabbed my phone off the pillow and saw it was dead. It had somehow run out of battery. Had I forgot to charge it? Whatever the reason, the fucking alarm didn't go off and I was late. I ran into the kitchen where the digital clock on the microwave read 6:25 p.m. First part in 2 years and I was already blowing it. Still, I should have time to make it if I left as I was, left right now. I ran out to the car, jumped in, turned the key, and nothing happened. What the fuck? I'd never had any trouble with the vehicle before. I turned the key again, and the engine refused to turn over. The damn thing was dead. I had a full tank of gas. Had I flooded it? I forced myself to wait 3-4 minutes before trying again, but the engine still wouldn't turn over. It was dead, and damn it, so was my phone, so I couldn't call a cab or an Uber. I couldn't even call and tell them I would be late. And then I thought of the bus. I would take a city bus. It would get me there, almost on time. I ran to the nearest stop just as the number 13 was getting ready to pull out. I got in the front doors just as the driver was closing them, only to discover I had another problem. No money. Like most people nowadays, I don't carry cash. Did they take credit cards? Could I pay with my phone? Oh yeah, it was dead. I had to take this bus. The driver just seemed to be staring ahead, just sitting motionless and staring through the windshield at the fog that was starting to roll in. I cleared my throat to get his attention, and he turned to look at me, and I had to step back. I almost got off the bus. The driver had turned towards me, the face of a dead man, pale skin, fish belly white, thin bluish lips, and dark sunken eyes. His face looked wet, as if he'd been perspiring heavily, or had been drowned. He said nothing, but turned away and put the bus in gear and pulled out from the curb. I went and sat down, not knowing what else to do. I sat at the back. There weren't many other riders, just 3 men and a woman, shabby and nondescript. They were all facing the front, away from me, so I couldn't see their faces. I looked out the window instead, but found it hard to see. First, there was the reflected glare cast by the bus's lit interior, and then it was getting foggy outside, really foggy. I couldn't really see anything, and found I was involuntarily closing my eyes, due to the glare, I guess. But I suddenly realized I was starting to fall asleep, starting to pass out. I couldn't go to sleep, not now, but still my eyes were becoming heavy. Too heavy. I woke up with a start and actually jumped to my feet. What time was it? I must be late now. I must be. The rest of the passengers had vanished. Had they gotten off? Is that what woke me up? Had I missed my stop? Where were we? I couldn't see a bloody thing outside. The mist was so heavy. I hurried to the front of the bus, but the driver was gone. What the fuck? The doors were open, so I hurried out and then had to stop dead. The fog made it impossible to see more than a few feet, made it impossible to get my bearings. Up ahead, I thought I saw a light, so I made for it. The fog had muffled all sound, but I thought I could hear the sound of lapping waves, which didn't make any sense. We were nowhere near any large body of water. Still, I continued to head for the bright spot in the mist, where I halted in complete and utter astonishment. I was standing at the edge of a large lake, perhaps an ocean, and directly in front of me towered an enormous white lighthouse. But the lamps weren't lit. Instead, the lighthouse just hung there, looming above me, a glistening white bulk in the half-light. And I found myself suddenly worried, suddenly terrified. The light had failed. There was danger. 3 shadowy figures emerged from the swirling gloom. 3 men dressed in boots, sweaters, coveralls, watch caps. Men I had never seen before. But I knew who they were. Thomas Marshall, Donald MacArthur, and James Ducat. Ducat, who looked so much like me, he might have been my own brother. Without a word, the three men began to close in on me. "Who are you?" I said, even though I already knew who they were. "What do you want with me?" They took me with their strong arms and held me fast as Ducat whispered in my ear, "Listen." From somewhere in the distance, I could hear a low rumbling sound which began to get progressively louder and louder. Something wicked was coming, something big, something very, very big. From out of the darkness came a white wall of tumbling water, a tsunami or tidal wave, bearing down upon the lighthouse, bearing down upon us. I tried to turn, to run and hide, only to find myself restrained by arms of steel. "Let me go!" I shrieked over the roar of the cascading water. "Why are you doing this to me? Why won't you let me go?" Ducat leaned in towards me and whispered, "Why? Well, you accepted the part, didn't you?" And then the rogue wave hit, and I was swept into eternity. The moral of the story: live theater is exciting, as the actors never know what might happen that isn't in the script. If this is your first visit to my channel, please consider subscribing. My name is Warren, and I write and tell original ghost stories and original horror stories featuring such cryptids as the Night Floaters, werewolves, and the Black-Eyed Children. So again, please consider subscribing. Please help me to reach my goal of 2,021 subs in 2021. Till midnight. Cheers. Pictures used in today's video, courtesy of Pix Here, that's PX Here, while the music was The Haunting Aftermath by that patron of the internet, Kevin MacLeod.